Aha, it's that American woman. She's here again. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's Memorial Day. Did you know that? I was born on Memorial Day. Unfortunately, 62 years ago now. Not too chuffed about that number. So I'm switching it round. I'm 26 today. Okay, guys? 26. Right. So I'm very excited about what we're going to go through today, because I think when I came across this, I realised, as I've already said, that I think this is one of the biggest factors to success. In the early days, when we start our businesses, we're told, quite rightly, go out and spread the word, open your shop up. Yeah. But like many people in the early days, I rather had verbal diarrhea. Do you get my drift? I would talk more than I would listen. So today is all about the art of listening and not hearing. They're two different things. And I'm going to go through it because this will have such an impact. If you can get this down, it will be really, really good. It sounds obvious, but it's not obvious at all. So here we go. The quality of our lives, the quality of our work, our family, is actually determined by the quality of our relationships. If you have a low quality of relationships, you've actually got a low quality of life. If you've got a high quality of relationships, you would have a high quality of life. And the quality of our relationships is actually determined by the ability to communicate. Our business, as we all know, is actually a relationship communication business. So here's the the brunt of it. So if we don't like talking or building relationships with people, to be quite honest, we really shouldn't be in network marketing, because it is all about relationship building. But there's one quality, there's one talent that is so core to human existence that when we really think about it, it is so important. It can transform our personal, our business, our family relationships forever and for the better. And this talent, this skill, is the missing skill that will enrich your relationships forever. It is the skill of listening. Listening, everyone knows they should listen, don't we? We know this, but we're all guilty of it. Very few of us do. Listening is not hearing. Some of the best listeners are actually deaf. Do you know what? They read all the other communication signals, the body language, our facial expressions. Let's look at listening. So let's mix the letters up, all right? Actually, listen is an anagram of the word silent. Listening is the silent skill of success. Isn't that fascinating? If you mix the letters up again, enlist. That is to engage emotionally. If you're in sales,
I put her on her back. Her color changed. It was very blue and purple, so I want to get her an oxygen pretty quickly.
I don't know what's going on.
When you're trying to pull fluid out, they have to excrete urine.
Gosh, who on earth was that? Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've lost my train of thought now. Here we go. Yes, so the word enlist is to engage emotionally. And if you're in sales, customers, people, prospects must be emotionally engaged with you in order to buy our products and services. Did you know that people buy on emotion? And then they justify that by the decision with logic. Do you know people don't buy on logic? Come on. if we ran, I've said this before, if we ran on logic, every one of us would be at the gym every morning, pumping the iron and getting ourselves fit. We'd only eat healthy food, but we don't. We go out and we have a binge on alcohol and we do stuff because actually we're feeding our emotions because we care about how we feel. Yeah. So listen, silent, enlist. Remember these words, okay? So let's start with the greatest principle in business in the world. Wow, here we go. What is the function of a business? What do you think most people say? Well, most people say it's to make money. No, it's not. Peter Drucker says the function of a business is to not make money. The function of a business is to get and keep customers and also distributors. So the goal of a business is not to make money. Why is that important? Because if you get the function mixed up with the goal, then you go out of business. If you focus on making money, you won't make money. But if you focus on the function of getting and keeping customers and distributors, you'll naturally make money. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah. You know, when we say focus on the activity, yeah, not the goal. Well, when you do enough of the right activity, the goal actually happens. This is the same thing. So I'm now going to ask you, do you think you're good at listening? Now, that's a rhetorical question, guys. Okay, you don't have to put it in the chat. So let's say an example with distributors. How should we go about recruiting distributors? Well, guys, we need to listen to friends, acquaintances, people's moans and groans about prices going up, the price of rising fuel costs, the price of, you know, Steve Critchley is saying it, a Waitrose essential cucumber is £1.10. It's doubled. In fact, you know, the price of energy, we've been told that the cap is going to drop on the 1st of July. Do you know what people aren't realising? In the last 2 years, prices have doubled. We're paying double regardless of that drop. And there's every likelihood, as we know, that they'll go up come the autumn. Now, isn't that fascinating? By the way, this is a sideline. So the government organises it that the prices go down as the summer begins, when we hardly use any gas. Oh, but they go up in the winter when we need it. Well, isn't that fascinating? Right. How can we engage with people? We've got to ask questions. There's a great book out there. There's a great CD. It's by Alan Pease and it's called Questions Are the Answers. I would say it's an absolute fundamental to get. Okay, it really is. Because, and I know I'm talking at the moment, but I'm coaching. If we are using that more than we're using those, and notice there's 2 of those and 1 of those, we're not actually listening. And we've got it wrong. And do you know what? People will engage with us if they know you're interested in them. So we have another phrase, be interested, not interesting. Yeah, these are really key points. So I'm now going to explain some of the behaviors that we engage in, that is not listening. Are you ready? There is the ATM, Alpha Tango Mike, an automatic telling machine or automatic talking machine. We interrupt a story with a similar story before that person's finished. Do you know what it says to them? We ain't listening to them. We're not interested in them. That's not good, is it? The FAR, F-A-R, FAR problem. formulating a response before the person has finished their sentence. We do it because we want to seem clever and not be afraid. We're so worried we're going to miss our moment, okay? But while we're thinking and formulating, we're missing what they're saying, and it could be key stuff. Sentencing. Finishing people's sentences for them before they finished. A fast-paced person with a slow-paced person. Oh my God, elderly VU. Please let them finish. They will really respect you because you could miss their point. I tell you what, has anyone ever listened to somebody from Texas? The Texas drawl, it's really slow, isn't it? Oh my God, mix that up with someone from New York. Whoa, because they don't stop, do they? Really, really fast. But actually, we have got to listen to people. There is a Mr. and Mrs. Fix-It. Fixing their problems, solving their problems for them. Oh, do you know what? Early days, I was so guilty of this. We do it because we actually genuinely want to help. It doesn't help them by solving their problems. They must solve it for themselves, i.e. men fixing their wives' problems. Guys, we don't want it. He feels good, she doesn't, yeah? My late husband, mother used to do it. She wanted to constantly, in her mind, fix his problems. Oh my God, what a clash that was, yeah? So a distributor asking a question, show them where to go to get the question answered. Here we go. Here's something, this is moving it on to leadership. It's so easy. I get questions thrown at me all the time. In the early days, I used to constantly answer them. Actually, I'm not helping anybody. What I have to do is show you where to go to find it for yourselves. Because as you build a team, can you imagine having 2,500 distributors on a daily basis asking you questions? I couldn't do it. So actually, you know, this listening thing, listen and then direct them to help solve that query themselves. Don't make partners dependent on you, okay? They actually probably already know the solution and they will argue with your solution, but they will never argue with their own. Isn't that true? And you know, sometimes when I've not been available to answer something immediately, by and large, that person's gone off and found out and they've found the answer. Isn't that incredible? Yeah. Here's another one. Don't worry, be happy. Or reassuring. By reassuring, you invalidate their own decisions. Okay, we've got to let people feel for themselves. Here's another one. Playing God. Ooh. People with dogmatic views, stubborn views. Wow. Do we all know some of these? We do, don't we? This is a real problem in communication, very painful habit. It causes family conflicts, it causes war. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? You know, with a distributor or a customer, we don't want to prove them wrong. We want to build rapport. We want to actually find the means that we both agree on. Because if you can come to that, you've got a chance of really helping that new person. Okay, really, really important this. Remember, in the beginning, they're just naive. They just don't know things because they don't know what they don't know. There's a wonderful, right? There's a chap out there called Ed Ludbrook, brilliant. And he has a graph and he divides it into 4. And he says, we start off incompetently incompetent. In other words, we don't know what we don't know. And we've got to get to the point where we know what we know. And there's actually a whole process in that thing. In fact, being in a place where you don't know that you don't know is actually quite scary. Yeah. So allow them to speak and have their say. Okay. Now here's another one. Me, me, me. These people turn all conversations, all stories back to themselves. It's saying me too. After talking about them, they may say, well, enough about me. What about you? What do you think of me? Have you met these people? Gosh, yes. Okay. Given it, oh yeah. Here's a great example. Okay. There was a bit of psychology that was done by a psychoanalyst, and he boarded a plane from the States to come to England. It's a long old journey. It's about 9 hours. And he sat down and he had a woman that sat next to him. And he, every so often, asked her a question. And then he listened. And he'd ask another question. And he listened. And by the end of the 9-hour flight, he knew a lot about her. When she got off the plane, somebody asked her, what was your flight like? And she said, oh, there was this incredibly interesting guy. Oh, wow, he was amazing. And they said, oh, what was his name? Do you know what? She didn't even ask his name. But he knew masses about her. So I'm now going to give you another idea about the art of recruiting, whether that's distributors or customers. We should start our presentations, whether that's we're with somebody or a presentation itself, we should start by finding out a bit about them. We should know more about them than they know about us. And if they only see the presentation and you've not asked any questions, you've missed a massive moment. Because if you know and you ask questions of them along the way, you're going to pick up referrals if you ask the right things. You're going to pick up somebody that has already, even in the presentation, told you about their life. They might have said, oh, I'm really struggling at the moment. Do you know what? I need to get back to work. But it's very difficult because childcare is so expensive. It negates the actual working. And I'm feeling I love my child, but actually, you know, there's only so much you can talk about with a little one and the price of ham in Tesco's and stuff like that. And then you want to fulfill your grey matter. And what they've done along the way, they've actually told you the reasons why being a distributor with Utility Warehouse would be absolutely fabulous. But if you hadn't asked those questions along the way, you've missed a point. Okay, so really, really important. You know what? There is something called SOS. Write that down, SOS. Spotlight on self. The definition of SOS is being in trouble. Don't put the spotlight on you. Have it on the other person. So why listen? How to listen? Yeah. So let's say to you, how do we listen? Well, there are many, many ways, but the biggest way, as I've said, is asking questions. So you're out and about. Let's give you an example. On Sunday, I did an all-day 20k giveaway with one of my team and somebody else that wasn't in my team, but he lived in the village, and it was the right thing to do to allow him to come in. Now, you could go out there on a 20k and you could just talk about the services all the time. Do you know what? I absolutely promise you, it doesn't yield anything. It just doesn't. Okay. And I'm now going to be very controversial, as if Lisa never is. All right. I'm going to be controversial because there is a presentation as one of these presenters that you can do. Do you know what? All that is selling. It's not actually engaging. So I went up to folk, top tip here, held one of the little slips and just held it up, looked at folk and said, "Can I take this off you, please?" Do you know what they do? They go, "Oh, I never got one." I said, "Didn't you? Didn't they give you one when you came in?" Well, actually, they weren't handing them out, but they don't know that. But what it meant was, I then said to them, "Oh, well, we can't leave you out. Let's put you in the drawer." Wow, you've got someone to talk to. It's called the never-ending slip. Isn't that fascinating? So then what do you do? Well, yeah, you get their details down because you want them, but then you say to them, you just say to them, "So how are you finding it at the moment? How are you finding it with prices going up and that? Are you one of those people that are lucky enough to still be on a fixed rate mortgage?" Do you know what? You're going to find out mountains about folk. If you ask questions, which is not prying, you're going to find out stuff and they're going to want to stay and engage, because what will happen is they will now verbally diarrhea over you, and that's the better option. You want them to tell you lots, how it's going, what their job's like. So I got 4 appointments, okay? Those 4, you'd say, "That's not many, Lisa." Well, actually, a lot of people were very hot and bothered. It was an extremely hot day, but these are good appointments. These aren't filling in forms and making a phone call and hoping you're going to get something. I actually could tell you about each person. I can tell you what they do, what their shift work is, what's going on in their life. Are they married? Aren't they married? Do they have children? Even one of them, I know all about the mother. So that is what this is about. It's about finding out about people. And it'll be, even if you're like, you go out to a local pub, you know, and you sat down and you kind of, you can strike up conversation with lots of things. But, you know, if you bring in the economy, it's quite a fascinating thing, because people at the moment are really, they won't always admit it, but they are struggling. They are struggling. I mean, I was shocked when one of the stats came out that every single week at the moment, 30,000 people are coming off their fixed rate mortgage. And for many, that will be another £500 to £700 a month they've got to find. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. We can help them. If they want another £500 a month, guys, that's help them, support them to offer it to 2 homeowners, take 3 services. You've just given them £500 a month. That's the 3,000 that they reckon, like people like Martin Lewis is saying, most people are needing another 3,000 just to break even, not even to do anything else. Wow. That is amazing information, isn't it? Here's an interesting one. How much do you think most people are working for an hour? I'm going to unmute you because I'm going to ask a few folk, because this is going to be interesting. How do I unmute? Ask all to unmute. If you can unmute yourselves, thank you. I'm going to ask you, how much do you think the minimum wage is? Anyone know what the minimum wage is?
£9, I think.
It's £10 something, but I'm not sure of the odd pence.
Oh, so we've got £9
I
and
thought it was
£10.
about 8.80.
Any advances on £10?
That's £9.10.
£10 for me.
No,
Okay.
I thought it was about
Right.
8.80.
£10.90.
Should we go with £9 as a round figure?
But £9.10.
Yeah.
So I believe that the average working week these days is about 37.5 hours, isn't it? Yeah. So 37.5 hours times £9. £337.50 a week. Cool. Do you know what? You help a homeowner, help them with a homeowner, take full services, 2 hours work. You've just beaten their weekly wage. That's crazy, isn't it? That's crazy. I was interviewing somebody last night who is a courier. He's got HGV 123 and he's doing daily trips of around, I can't believe this, 500 to 600 miles a day.
Bloody hell.
I mean, I would say that that's pretty exhausting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
In fact, we were due to see each other Saturday morning at 9 o'clock on Zoom. And then, bless him, he was very kind enough to get in contact very early. I was up. It was about 7:30. He rang, and I'm glad he did. He said, "I'm so sorry." He said, I'm gutted, but I've got to take this. I've been offered another job." And he had to, from Oldham, go to Glasgow to pick up stuff to take it to Peterborough and go back to Oldham. I mean, that is absolutely mind-boggling. And then he proceeded to tell me how much he'd earned for that. I'm going to ask you, how much do you think he'd earned for that? That's all day. He did over 14 hours driving. How much do you reckon?
500.
Right, but
Couple of
£150.
Yeah,
250.
200 quid.
200 quid.
Oh,
That is so you work that out. That is absolutely boggling. And I cannot imagine the stress with traffic and what it does to you. So he has seen this as something absolutely brilliant. However, I wish he told me sooner. At this moment, he can't switch. And he appreciates that to become a proper distributor, to be quite honest, you've got to switch services. Otherwise, you can't recommend. You're selling, aren't you then? Yeah. You know, you need to know what the switching process is like and stuff. And he happens to be £1,100 in debt with his electric, which he's got some money coming and he will do it. And he's going to come back to me when he's done it, because then he's going to come on board properly. Why am I bothering to tell you stuff like this? Because there are people out there that are truly struggling. On the surface, you could say, wow, busy man, got a great job, always busy, working. But what he proceeded to tell me in those early interview questions that I had with him on Zoom was that it split him and his wife up in the family. So he's in rented accommodation, live in one place, still sees her, but it's caused absolutely massive, because they were ships that passed in the night. And she turned around and said, this isn't a marriage anymore. Now you could say, well, she's not very understanding, but actually I can see the strain there. There was another guy Friday night. Good job. But he's working all hours God sends. And likewise, he said, there's nothing left over. He said, we're just about covering the bills and there's nothing left over. Now, can I just say to you, I could do a presentation, go through it, and then wonder why at the end they're not really interested. So what I'm saying to you, know this art of listening, it's really important. It's important to ask those questions and to hear, because that's how you're going to get the right people and you're going to truly help them. And that phrase, be interested, not interesting, is massive. And I'm going to put my hand up and say in the early days, I failed miserably at this stuff, especially on business networking. I thought it was all about get my business cards out there as fast as possible. God, I was so wrong. You know, it takes time. And sometimes it takes time to get out of a habit of doing what you've always done. But to get what you want, you've got to change what you've always done. Because if you do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Is that true?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So we've got to show people how embracing change is the right thing, because they're scared witless to try something new. And I understand that. You know, it's really doing something entirely different. And the big thing that's hard is saying, oh, I've got to contact some people, make some calls. And it's also like, oh, and how am I going to do this? Oh, and then I'm going to be selling to people. No, you're not. Not if you do it right. If you do it right, it will work and you'll get the right, and they will thank you for the practice because they'll realise that you're interested. Now, we've got a new lady on here. She's sitting here. Well done. I don't know if Eliana's running around like crazy. She could well be. But I can say to you that she will say she notices that at the beginning, I just ask them loads of questions, don't I, Dion? Lots of stuff.
Yeah, you did. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all about finding out about people, because that's the way then that this presentation isn't a presentation. It becomes something that could be of possible interest to them, because you can repeat what they've told you is wrong and then show them how what we've got could possibly help them. So guys, I hope that was helpful. It's a big thing, isn't it? The whole listening stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say, if you want to take it further, write down the name Steve Shapiro, and he's written an amazing book called Listening for Success, and you can get it on CD as well.
Got that, yeah.
These days, I think it's probably on like an MP3 player thing, isn't it? These days, you can get all of that. So guys, look, it's lovely to be with you all. Next week, I won't be doing. Next week, we will be on a plane, nearing our destination of Miami. But you've got a lovely lady that's stepping in, and I know she's going to do a great job. And her name is Shelley Barker. She's recently been promoted to group leader, and she's going to do a great job. The next one afterwards, I'm going to aim to come on, guys, and do it from the States, from Florida. That'll be interesting. Let's see how transatlantic we can be. All right. And then I'm not sure about the week after, because again, we're actually flying back. So there may be 1 week we miss out. All right. So the book is called Listening for Success. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Guys, thank you ever so much. Lovely to see you all. And keep enjoying this glorious sunshine. Take care.
Lisa.
There we go.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Oh,
you.
the
Have
record,
a lovely Saturday.
thank you. The recording will be out there tonight, later on. Okay. Bye-bye.